Modesto Radio Museum presents an interview with famed sports announcer Johnny Holliday.
You certainly always had sports in your blood, and more you're doing sports in Washington, D.C., and you kind of went away from the radio stuff to be doing all this sports. What was the first of the sports that you did at Washington?
The Senators. We had the Washington Senators. The last 2 years they were here. So I did the pregame show with Ted Williams before every game. We do an opposing player and we do a Senators player. To work with Ted Williams was, talk about a thrill. He was like bigger than life. Mm-hmm. He was almost like a John Wayne character. I had my charity basketball team. I had my charity softball team. And a funny story about Ted Williams was we had a doubleheader one night in softball. And I'm at the end of the dugout. And he walks out before we tape his pregame show. And he says, "Hey, Holliday, how'd you do in that doubleheader last night?" 9 for 14, something like that. So Ted Williams says, "In slow pitch, grab a bat." I said, "What? Let me see your stance." So I grab a bat, and here's Ted Williams. Give me the bat. I want you to get that. He's showing me how he hit. Now he's hitting left-handed, of course. I want you to crouch down, get that thing, get that shoulder back, giving me tips of how. If I could have had a picture of that.
Yes, man.
And the guys from the Senators, they were laughing their heads off. They said, "Hey, Ted, he went 9 for 14. What's better than that?" Ted Williams says, 14 for 14 is better than that. The interview I did with Joe DiMaggio and Willie Mays and Mickey Mantle, those guys.
Yeah.
And when Mickey Mantle came to town, he was a first base coach for the Yankees. And we got a memo saying no interviews with Mickey Mantle. He doesn't want to be bothered with interviews. He's off limits. So my friend happened to be the shortstop for the Yankees, Gene Michael, who later became the manager of the Yankees. Mm-hmm. And we had played on a basketball team together in Cleveland, an industrial league team together when he got out of Kent State. So we were friends. So I do the interview with Gene Michael for the pregame show. And he says, "You're going to talk to Mantle, aren't you?" I said, "I can't." He said, "What do you mean you can't?" So I show him this memo. He says, "Wait right here." So he brings Mantle out. Gene says, "Hey, Mick, this is a buddy of mine, Johnny Holliday. He does the pregame for the Senators. Good guy to talk to." "Hey, Johnny, how you doing?" Mickey Mantle. I say, "Hey, Mick, how you doing?" "But let me first of all question who your friends are. If you're hanging around with this guy, I got to question your taste in friends."
Yeah.
He's busted on Gene Michael. So the other guys from the media are walking by saying, how's Johnny Holliday talking to Mickey Mantle?
Yeah. Man.
Let me tell you one quick Joe DiMaggio story.
Sure.
We had the Old Timers Baseball Classic in Washington when we didn't have baseball for all those years. So DiMaggio would come in, Willie Mays would come in. They'd have 25, 30,000 people to watch this game. And ABC Radio would carry it nationwide. I did the pregame, all the on-field interviews and the postgame. And they bring in Red Barber. They bring in Mel Allen. They bring in Jack Brickhouse, all these major announcers to do the game. So my boss says to me, "You're going to open up the broadcast with Willie Mays, that I knew from San Francisco and the Giants, and Joe DiMaggio." So I said, "How am I going to get Joe DiMaggio?" "The producer will go down and get him." So DiMaggio sends word back, "I'll talk to you, but I'm not coming out of the dugout. And I will talk to you when I get through visiting with my friends from the media here in Washington." So we've already done Willie Mays. Now we have 8 minutes allotted for DiMaggio. So he gets through. He's got his Yankee uniform on, number 5, sitting there in the dugout. He motions me to come down. I want to say, "Hello, Mr. DiMaggio. I'm so enamored by this guy." He says, "Hi, John, Joe DiMaggio." I said, "Joe, Johnny Holliday. How long is this got to take?" That's not a good sign when they ask something like that. I said, it's not going to be long. Let's go. So I'm thinking, when's the last time you talked to Sal Bando? So Joe DiMaggio says, do you know Sal? I said, well, Sal's one of my closest buddies. I used to pitch batting practice to him when he was in high school in Cleveland. And then when he was with the Oakland A's in San Francisco, to Oakland, and you were a coach on the A's, Sal played in my charity basketball team. I also had him do sports on our station in the morning. So DiMaggio says, Johnny, that's right, Johnny, you're from San Francisco. Yes, sir. Of course. How are you? Now we do 13 minutes with DiMaggio. And every year we would come back. John, how are you? Hey, Joe, how you doing?
I love that.
I don't have that hook of Sal Bando being a friend of mine. It'd have been a very difficult interview.
We read where you've done a bunch of Olympics. Which were the events that you covered there?
Sarajevo was my first. Covered the downhill, covered the slalom, covered women's figure skating. In Seoul, baseball.
Uh-huh.
The coach of the U.S. Olympic baseball team is a guy named Skip Bertman that I played against in high school. And I made a point of bringing the box score of North Miami and Miami Beach to the Olympics with me when I did an interview with him. So I meet Skip Bertman, former coach at LSU. I said, I played against you in high school. He says, really? Where? I said, I went to North Miami. You went to Miami? Yeah, I went to Miami Beach. I said, you can never hit me. Said, did you pitch against me? I said, yeah. Where? I said, North Miami. He said, North Miami. He said, I remember a left-handed guy and a big blonde kid with a great curveball and a little guy with glasses. I said, it's me, the little guy with the glass. So I bring out this box score. He went 0 for 4. He says, you know why I never hit you? Because we were concerned at what time would you hit us? Because you had no control. I said, yeah, no control at all. When I did boxing with Ken Norton, the former heavyweight champion, all the other sports we would do different. I mean, we would do different things. Whatever the assignment was that day, we would go out and cover it. It was exciting. I did Sarajevo, Los Angeles, Atlanta, Calgary, Seoul, Albertville, France, Sydney, Australia, LA. ABC had the rights to the Olympics, so we did a lot of live broadcasting. But everything we did was live on ABC radio. So, I mean, each day we knew what we were going to do. You're sending a kid from Miami, Florida, to do women's fit. I never skated much in Miami growing up as a kid, But I work with, you may know this name, Carol Heist Jenkins, gold medalist for the United States at Squaw Valley, I think in 1958 or 1960. Or something like that. Yeah. And I covered a lot of stuff that I'd never covered before, never done it before. All you guys are here. We had Fred Manfra, myself. We had Bill White, former manager of the New York Yankees. A lot of national broadcasters were with us for ABC. And he said, all you guys, you may get assignments that you may not be happy with or like, but you're here because you can do everything. So we did everything, and we did it pretty good, too.
You also did some golf, like you covered the Masters.
I was amazed at how these guys could come back after playing their round at the Masters and sit there with the media and go over every single shot that they had taken that day. And that just blew me away.
Right.
And doing interviews with the guys when they came in, walking the course with them. And then we got a chance to play on Monday when the Masters is over the next day. The media could play. And I'm sitting out there at Amen Corner saying, whoa, this is an easy shot down there. Yeah, right. Not quite. But that was the thrill of a lifetime, the Masters.
Oh, no kidding.
I think I did it for like 20 straight years.
So when did you become the voice of the University of Maryland?
1979, my first year. And the guy that had been doing the games, named Tim Brandt, had gone into television, and I was at WMAL at the time. And my boss says to me, "You've done football." I said, "Yeah, the last game I did before I came to Washington was the Stanford-Cal game on Channel 44 in San Francisco."
Yeah.
That was the last football game that I had done. And he said, well, how'd you like to take over the Maryland broadcast? Yeah, sure. Okay. That's when I took over in 1979. And here it is 45 years later. And I'm still trying to get it right.
Well, that's not true. You do such an amazing job. Which do you like better, football or basketball as a broadcaster?
I don't think there's a difference. I like whichever one I'm doing, basically, is the one I like the most. I think basketball is, to me, easier because you only have 14 guys in the team and only 8 guys play, maybe 9 guys play.
Sure.
And it's 2 hours compared to football where you got 98 guys and it could be 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot more preparation for football than there is for basketball.
Is all that prep work still easy for you?
I think so. Yeah. I don't think there's been anything that I've been lucky enough to do that has been so overwhelming that it's really bothered me that I can't grasp it or I can't get this right or I've never met that at all. I've been able to handle most everything that's been thrown at me. The schools give you so much information.
Right.
They give you like 50 sheets of breakdowns of each guy. And I pick out what I want to talk about this guy and that guy. And you can't use everything because the plays are happening like that. So you have to be quick. You have to get in and get out. And it's
sure.
Sometimes it's a challenge. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, the play is over and you've got like 30 seconds to something to get ready for the next play.
And basketball is really quick.
How much longer do you want to do this?
I take it right now each year, 1 year at a time.
Uh-huh.
I thought maybe I would do this for maybe 10 years, but it just keeps on going. We won a national championship. There's the ring right there.
Yeah. Always wear that. Always wear that. Yep.
That's 2002 in basketball. I've got a World Series ring from the Nationals, having done that for 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
And my family would probably like to have me give it up right now. My wife would like to have me give up basketball and baseball. And she says to me over and over again, why are you doing this? I said, because strange as it may seem, I like it.
Yeah.
And it's not work. It's
mm-hmm.
not, you're dealing with young people. You're dealing with good young people. You're calling a game. You got the best seat in the house. This is not work for me, but everybody else, they consider it. How do you do all? Well, it's not work. It's something I enjoy. I always have, and I'll know when it's time to quit. I mean, if I don't like it at the end of this year, if the end of this football season and basketball season, I'm thinking, man, that's a grind. Boom, I'll walk away.
Well,
but luckily for me, Maryland has given me, you stay as long as you want to stay.
Mm-hmm.
So you make the call. Been married for 65 years.
So how old were you when you got married? 12.
I was 21, and my wife was 18.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, neither one of us. I didn't go to college. Neither my wife didn't go to college either. She could have, but she chose not to. We've been together, 65 years, been married this past June. I've got 3 daughters.
Mm-hmm.
One is a physician, internal medicine, and her husband, the same thing. The middle one is a NICU nurse, neonatal.
Yeah.
And the baby is a post-surgical nurse.
Wow.
And the baby, who's 42, has 4 girls. The middle daughter has got 4 boys, and the oldest daughter has got 3 boys.
Wow. I must say,
11 great grandkids.
Yeah, you've been blessed among those who are blessed.
It's just, you don't know how lucky I've been.